Alrighty, so now I made my prediction when it comes to the Eastern and Western Conference standing for this upcoming season. It's time to do a video that is also kind of a annual video I do, which is looking at why every MLS team can win MLS Cup, or why every team cannot do so. And some of these teams, obviously, we know for sure they're not going to win MLS Cup, and that I have to kind of create come up with a wacky and at times maybe an unrealistic standpoint for them to do so. But then obviously there are some teams that we know for sure are going to be gunning for MLS heading into the season. But all we know is that at the end of this season and in December later this year, only one of these 30 teams is going to be lift that trophy and become MLS Cup champion for this 2025 season. So as always, we're going to start with alphabetically order. We start with Atlanta United. Why Atlanta can win MLS Cup? Because they're truly back. Atlanta is definitely back with the top heavy attack that they have with both Almiron and Latilaf. Going to have very similar connection to what we saw with Almiron and Joseph Martinez had during the peak of Atlanta United. Ronnie Delia has had a history of able to guide a top heavy and highly talented team to MLS Cup. He's going to do it once again for this Atlanta team. So why can't Atlanta win MLS Cup? Well, it's going to be similar to last season where we had the discussion that this is a very highly talented team on the attacking end. Well, it turns out Almiron just kind of turned out to his old form with Newcastle, at least the last couple of years. Can't really carry the team. Latte Laugh might be one of the biggest busts in recent memory. There's definitely question when it comes to the defense and the midfield quality to be a championship caliber kind of team as well. But overall, it's just kind of like what we saw last year, where a team that's supposed to do so much better just kind of blew up in their phase, or Atlanta decided to move on from some of their key pieces in the summer, and they're pretty much just gonna do a rebuild and on the fly, and probably is gonna come close, if not making the playoffs this season. Looking at Austin FC, why can they make MLS Cup? Well, it's similar to what I said about Atlanta. They have two players that could be a huge piece for the attacking and in the drive force of this attack. Zini and Vasquez. I think both of those guys are going to do very well carrying the attack. And somehow, the defense actually did relatively well, and that Brad Suvert is going to be gunning for goalkeeper of the year, making some incredible save after incredible save. Why can't Austin win MLS Cup? Or yeah, why can't Austin win MLS Cup? That is, well, simply the defense just kind of fall apart. It turns out, the attack Uzuni is not the answer to this team, and Brandon Vasquez maybe still have a bit of a regress similar to what we saw during his time with Rayados, but it's mainly because of the defense just kind of completely fall apart, and they be very inconsistent, just like they were last season. Charlotte, why can they win MLS Cup? Because this has an MLS Cup caliber defense. I mean, this is the best defense in the league last year in the East, tied with the best defensive record with the Seattle Sounders as well. And we all know defense win championship, right? So yeah, that's gonna be the case. But also, their attack seems like they found a group. Patrick Ajiman is gonna be a 15 plus goal scorer of this team. Wilfred Zaha will go back to his Crystal Palace kind of day, and even the other attacking pieces that they got last summer with Leo Abada and Pep Biel will really boost this team to be a championship caliber team. So why can't Charlotte FC win MLS Cup? Well, their defense basically regressed after an incredible year that they had last season, and the attack just can't get going. Like what we saw for majority of last season, and as a result, they'll probably still make it to the playoffs, but they'll probably find a crushing way to lose, just like they did last year against Orlando City. For Chicago, why can they win MLS Cup? Because Greg Berhalter is gonna do something similar to what Columbus did all those years, somehow guiding a team that has a lot of playoff kind of, well, not even playoff fertility, but just season fertility years after year, and finally turn the script. The signings that they made this offseason turns out to be a hit. Jonathan Bamba could be an MVP kind of caliber. Hugo Kuipers might even win gunning for the Golden Boot as well. Why can't the Chicago Fire win MLS Cup? Because it's the Chicago Fire. I mean, it's no matter what kind of move that they made and whatever good pieces they have, there's always going to be a major setback, whether the defense just completely self-destruct out of nowhere, or the fact that the attacking pieces that they bought in just kind of blow up in their face, and it turns out Jonathan Bamba isn't very as good as it is, because this team when it comes to signing DP player, they have swing and miss on a lot of those. And then not to mention Greg Berhalter pretty much go back to his form with the U.S. men's national team. And as a lot of national team fan warned Chicago about, he's not as good as you think he is. Yeah, there we go. FC Cincinnati. Why can Cincinnati win MLS Cup? Because it they can. They're now looking like the team that they were a couple of years ago. Very strong attacking team. They stay healthy on the defensive end as well. Turns out Evander was even better than what Lucho Acosta was, and Kevin Denke would be similar to what Brandon Vasquez meant to this team, and Pat Nolan finally get the redemption tour that they've been wanted uh, from that loss that they had in the Eastern Conference Final to lift MLS Cup. Why can't FC Cincinnati win MLS Cup? Well, let's say it's going to be like last season, where they're gonna have some defensive injuries. They don't really have as good depth in that position as well. Evander will once again had his temper tantrum that he had during his time with the Timbers, and it could get ugly as the season goes along. And then Kevin Denke, similar to what I said about Lav, a big signing that turns out to be a huge flop in MLS. For the Colorado Rapids, why can they win MLS Cup? Because this is a very well-rounded kind of team. Georgi Mihailovic could be running for MVP this season as well. Rafael Navarro will once again prove that he's not a penalty merchant. He's going to be a 15 plus goal scorer on this team. And then they also fix the defensive problem as well. And also, Zach Steffen will go back to his day with the Columbus Crew, and also at least in the early days of Man City with the national team, turns out to be a decent goalkeeper. Why can't Colorado win MLS Cup? Well, simply because every time I label this as a dark horse kind of team, as I think they are, it doesn't really quite work out whatsoever. Zach Steffen will be like what we saw last season, mostly kind of terrible. Their defense maybe isn't going to do so well, even though they signed both those Cincinnati player as well. And then, of course, if Georgi Mihailovic suffered a major injury, which we saw last year, I know some people will say even with Georgi Mihailovic back in that team, they weren't going to beat the Galaxy, but it will definitely gave them more chance in that game compared to when they had him only for one of the game, and he was clearly not healthy in that second leg game against the Galaxy. Columbus. Why can Columbus win MLS Cup? Because this is the Columbus Crew, and Wilfred Nancy knows how to win trophy, even with the pieces that they lost this season with Cucho Hernandez and Christian Ramirez no longer on this team. This team somehow will find some good players, and it's kind of that next man up mentality that this Columbus team has had, where Wilfred Nancy will always develop some good player, no matter who exactly is there. Why can't Columbus win MLS Cup? Well, it's just mainly the loss of Cucho Hernandez might be too big of a loss for them to overcome as well, and not to mention the defense kind of regressed very badly, especially in that playoff series against the Red Bulls, or maybe they just kind of simply ran out of gas like what we saw last season. That's kind of the reason Columbus probably won't win MLS Cup. DC, why can they win MLS Cup? Oh boy, this is where it gets tough, because yeah, unless if Christian Benteke follow up that Golden Boot season and then some, and somehow maybe their defense is very good, and their new South Korean goalkeeper turns out to win goalkeeper of the year. Yeah, that's kind of the reason why they can win MLS Cup. Why can't they win MLS Cup? Well, it's simple. This team doesn't really have a lot of talent, even with the signings that they made. Christian Benteke just can't simply carry this team to relevant. And again, just the same defensive issue that Troy Lesesne team had last season is going to flare up again heading into this year. For FC Dallas, why can they win MLS Cup this season? Well, the attack is going to carry this team. Lucho Acosta is going to form a great partnership with Pedro Musa, similar to him, creating a good partnership with Brandon Vasquez during his time with Cincinnati. And then also, not to mention, the defense seems like it's rebounded after a poor season, and Martin Paz also once again becoming one of the more underrated goalkeeper in this league. Why can't Dallas win MLS Cup? Well, Lucho, again, similar to what I said about Cincinnati, maybe throw a bit of a tantrum for fit near the end of the season if things are not going so well for this team. And then of course the defense once again regress. Martin Paz doesn't look good just like last season, and also Peter Quill, despite the attacking kind of style that he likes to play, eventually you pretty much have to regress back to being more defensively, which is kind of something similar to what happened to Nico Estevez doing his time with FC Dallas. Houston, why can the Dynamo win MLS Cup? Well, turns out they did find their DP number 10 to replace Hector Herrera. Jack McGlynn is gonna go absolutely ham as well. Same goes for Ezekiel Ponce as well. And once they also eventually get Lawrence and now as well, all of a sudden this team could be formidable foe on the attack, and also the possession style kind of play that they've been playing the last couple of years turns out to do relatively well. Why can't they win MLS Cup? Well, simply because they lost too much talent once again. You know, losing Coco Carrasquilla and Hector Herrera, that's a huge loss. They can't find the right replacement for Hector Herrera. I think they'll still find the good replacement for Carrasquilla with Jack McGlynn. And then not to mention the defense will definitely take a step back because with the sale of Mikel that is on the horizon, that will really take a big hit on the defense. And also they don't have Steve Clark anymore as well. Sporting KC, why can Sporting KC win MLS Cup? Well, simply their attack is gonna be very good. Manu Garcia is going to be one of the better playmaker in this league as well. Dejan Joveljic obviously is going to prove that he wasn't just simply benefit from the killer piece feeding the ball. Him and Garcia is going to create a good partnership itself. And then also not to mention the defense seems like it's gotten much better. And John Postcam turns out to be the perfect replacement for Tim Milliam. Why can they win MLS Cup? Well, it's kind of the opposite of what I said. John Postcam is not the answer of this team. The defense once again suck relatively bad. It turns out Dejan Joveljic was really a beneficial of the killer piece system, and Marno New Garcia would kind of have a take time to settle in and kind of have a bit of an underwhelming season. For the LA Galaxy, why can the Galaxy win MLS Cup? Because they're the last team to repeat as MLS Cup champion. And who say that they can't do so? And even with the injuries that they have, this is still a very good talented team. Especially once they get at least two of the free killer P's back on this team, and adding Christian Ramirez. Again, this team should be a very fun team to watch. A very top heavy attack with also now a respectable defense. Why can't they win MLS Cup? Well, simply they continue to have some injuries, and especially those guys come back from injury might take a while to get things going. Then yeah, things are going to be a relatively rough, and also the defense again, if it falter them again, the Galaxy will kind of be like similar to what we've seen before in recent memory of a team that will play a lot of high scoring game, but they won't get the job done on unlike what we saw last season. And then not to mention if they face LAFC in the playoffs, which again that's been kind of their kryptonite. And this is where again LAFC fans once again will remind everybody, especially Galaxy fans, that if we were to play against you in the playoffs, you probably wouldn't have won MLS Cup. Speaking of LAFC, why can LAFC win MLS Cup? Well, they're going to shake off that big game narrative away, and that despite all the changes that they had on this team, it feels like it's kind of the same old. Where no matter what players is there, and no matter what kind of changes John Thornton does to this team, it turns out to be a hit as well. Antoine Griezmann's going to come into this league and do things that Olivier Giroud probably could have done when he came into this league, and be the goal scorer. Denis Bouanga again going to be an MVP caliber kind of player, maybe even going to win the Golden Boot as well. And yeah, overall, this is just a very talented LAFC team, a very high end talent kind of LAFC team that once again they're going to be considered one of the favorites heading into this season as well. Why can't they win MLS Cup? Well, simply again that big game narrative is definitely still there with this team. It turns out all the changes that they made in the midfield doesn't really quite work well. And then Antoine Griezmann will kind of have a similar season to what Olivier Giroud is, another guy that maybe is a little bit over the hill and just turns out to be a huge flop for this team. Inter Miami, why can they win MLS Cup? Duh. Messi and friends is going to carry this team. The good depth that have, and pretty much Messi being a player head coach as well. And notice I said that and not Javier Mascherano. I mean, I know I'm really discounted Javier Mascherano there, even though he is actually the head coach. Let's be honest, this is a Messi team. He has all to say. He's pretty much called all the shots with this team, and most of the time, so not the shots that he called turns out to be relatively successful, and they'll make amends for what happened last season involving the biggest upset we have ever seen in MLS playoff history. And then the defense, of course, will be much better, especially with the offseason addition that they had. Why can't Inter Miami can't win MLS Cup? Well, things just kind of is very similar to last season. Maybe the defense that they try to fix this season isn't as good as they hope it is, and not to mention if Messi, see, and all some of these high talented players suffer for injuries because of the amount of games that they have to play this season as well. And Javier Mascherano, knowing that he has had a history of botching highly talented team and living up to their potential, yeah, something tells me Inter Miami probably could repeat as what we saw last season, of just absolutely fall flat on their face in terms of not even reaching close to winning MLS Cup. Then we look at Minnesota. Why can Minnesota win MLS Cup? Well, this is a team that fixed their midfield and defensive issue. The attack is absolutely strong. Kevin Yoboa definitely could be a MVP or even a Golden Boot kind of candidate. Robin Lod continue to have another incredible season as well. And whatever Eric Ramsey in terms of the smart tactics that he put on this team is going to really get this team to be not only a dark horse in the West, but maybe even alongside with the two LA team in Seattle as a contender in the West. Why can't Minnesota win MLS Cup? Because this is a Minnesota team. I mean, if you want the simple answer, it's a Minnesota team, since Minnesota team never win anything, not just in MLS but in other league as well. Minnesota is literally a state that is the most cursed, or at least one of the most cursed state in the country. But on a more serious note, turns out the defensive change that they had, it didn't turns out to be well. They still have midfield problem as well on their team as well. And then the attack, as well, maybe a bit of a regression for Kevin Yobo after his incredible season. Robin Love, he is starting to get a little old now. Father time maybe started to catch up to him as well. And overall, when it comes to Minnesota team, there's going to be always disappointment, and yeah, that is definitely going to be linger. Is the reason why they probably won't win MLS Cup. Montreal, why can they win MLS Cup? Well, Lauren Courtois finally perfect the Wilfred Nancy system for this Montreal team. He finally feel like he has the right player to do so, to mirror what Wilfred Nancy does, similar to what we saw with Pat Nolan mirroring the Jim Curtin's system with FC Cincinnati, and it turns out to do well. That's exactly what he's going to do with Montreal to get this team to win MLS Cup. Why can't Montreal win MLS Cup? Well, clearly they still don't have the talent to run the Wilfred Nancy system that Lord Courtois puts in, and also this is a Montreal team that has that cycle of choking late in the season, and it's going to continue heading into this year as well. Nashville. Why can Nashville win MLS Cup? BJ Callahan somehow will get the buy-in in terms of playing that possession style soccer away from the rigid and defensive soccer that Gary Smith implemented this Nashville team over the year. Hani Mukhtar will return to be an MVP counter, once again carry this team alongside with Sam Surge as well. And then, of course, the defense, despite playing more of a possession style, is going to be rock solid, just like what we saw when they came into the league. Why can Nashville win MLS Cup? Well, this possession style play that BJ Cowan run is not good whatsoever. Hani Mukhtar is going to be like what we saw in the last two seasons, just a complete fall from grace after his MVP kind of season. And then, not to mention, the defense continue to get worse and worse as the year goes along. New England. Why can New England win MLS Cup? Because if you look at the Caleb Porter cycle of him winning MLS Cup with teams after 2 or 3 years after a bad start of the season, that of course it turns out to be the case. And not to mention all the signing that they made turns out to be a hit on this team. yeah, this New England team could finally break the curse of winning their first MLS Cup. Why can't they win MLS Cup? Well, simply because they made too many changes that it's going to take too long for them to develop. Caleb Porter is still Caleb Porter, after the disastrous season that he had last year. You wouldn't bet that it could be the same case again heading into this season as well. But I think the most important thing is the reason why New England probably won't win MLS Cup, besides that they are still cursed of not able to win one after being at 5 MLS Cup in the past. Injuries. If injuries once again hit this team, yeah, no chance of them winning MLS Cup. The New York Red Bulls, why can they win MLS Cup? They finished the job that was left unfinished last season. They finally put the That's So Metro narrative to an end by having another their spectacular Cinderella run. Turns out they're front three of Choupo Moting, Emil Frostberg and Lewis Morgan will stay healthy throughout the season, and even bringing Timo Werner in the summer to help shoring up that as well will get them winning MLS Cup and finally ending that so Metro narrative. Why can the New York Red Bulls win MLS Cup? The That's So Metro narrative can continue. We go back to the usual cycle of the Red Bulls underachieving at times and fall flat in their face in the playoffs. And then, those front three that I mentioned, there's a reason why I say that it is very unlikely that all three of them is going to stay healthy because all three of those guys have had injury prone issue. And I've even said before, there could be a case where I would be very surprised if that front three will be able to play more than 25 games together throughout the season. And maybe Timo Werner might not come to the Red Bulls. NYCFC. Why can't NYCFC win MLS Cup? Pascal Janssen will have similar impact that Ronnie Delia had this team, able to get this team right with the young talent that they of course had. Obviously, they're not going to have Santi Rodriguez, even though I want to say he somehow miraculously stay with this team. But Alonso Martinez is going to really carry this team as well. City Football Group continue to find some hidden gems within, and somehow this NYCFC team is going to do well. And also Maxi Morales somehow turning the clock back and be the real leader. That is kind of the big reason why they won that MLS Cup back in 2021. Why can't NYCFC win MLS Cup? Well, simply inconsistency with these youngsters continue, just like what we saw last season as well. The loss of Santi Rodriguez is definitely huge. He was a big contributor for this team last year. And then, of course, Maxi Morales, he some might say he's an ageless wonder. Maybe Father Time finally caught up to him. Father Time is always undefeated, and maybe this might be the year to do so. Orlando City. Why can't Orlando City win MLS Cup? Well, simply, this team after last season falling short, they have that belief that it can get a little bit better. Even though Facu Torres is no longer on this team, Hasselich, their new signing, is gonna turns out to do relatively well. Duncan McGuire is gonna have a breakout season. They don't really sell some of their more important player like McGuire and Arul and keep them in another season. Pedro Galese somehow returned to his old form, and there you go. Orlando City have a chance, definitely to win MLS Cup and be a force in the East. Why can't Orlando City win MLS Cup? Well, turns out, Paslich is not that guy to do so. Their defense at time last season was shaky. Pedro Galese continue to decline. And, Oscar Pereira team has always got off to a slow start, but this time they can't recover from the slow start and maybe even miss out on the playoffs entirely. The Philadelphia Union, why can't they win MLS Cup this season? Well, their front three turns out they're going to carry this team heavily. Both Mikael Uru, Ty Baribo, and Daniel Gasly is going to have a career season just like what we saw a couple of years ago. They're going to be an absolute buzzsaw on the attack. The defense also could have a big improvement as well. And also the Sullivan brother is gonna be a big part in their midfield revitalized, especially Kevin Sullivan. He's gonna have an absolute breakout year this year, only in the age of just 15. Why can Philadelphia win MLS Cup this year? Well, simply because, yeah, they are in a rebuilding season, and especially getting rid of Jim Kern and replace Lee Cornell feels like that's a bit of a downgrade. And even though this front three is still decent, it's not going to be enough to try to carry this team to relevance. The Portland Timbers. Why can the Timbers win MLS Cup? Because they're going to follow the same formula as the LA Galaxy. This team is a very top heavy attack, just like the Galaxy last season. It will be enough to mirror the defensive issue that they might have at the back. Turns out David DaCosta is going to be a similar quality, if not even better than what Vander was. And once again, they're going to score tons of goals because, again, this is a very top heavy attack team. There's so many attacking weapons in this Timber side. Why can they win MLS Cup? Well, simply because their defense absolutely suck. Their attack can't really mitigate great how bad that this defense is, and also Phil Neville with his inconsistent form that he has shown during his time in MLS is going to cause problem again for this Timber side. RSL. Why can Real Salt Lake win MLS Cup? Simply, they find the right replacement to Chicho Arango. Diego Luna absolutely gonna do a carry job on this team. He's gonna be the star of this team. Even though I know RSL has always had that formula that the team is the star. They don't really have a specific star in this. And also, this is a team that always play hard under Pablo Mastriano as well. That kind of philosophy is gonna guide them to a very similar kind of Cinderella run that they had a couple of years ago, making it to the Western Conference Final. Why can't RSL win MLS Cup? Well, there's just a lot of question in terms of this team. They lost a lot of good, talented player last season. It's simply not as talented when you look at this roster compared to last season. And then also those pieces that they bought in the summer and also in the winter transfer window kind of stagnate, and you get a team that probably is not gonna do well and have a major setback heading into this year. San Diego, why can they win MLS Cup? Well, they can just mirror what the Chicago Fire did in 1998, of becoming the only MLS team to win MLS Cup in their expansion season. But all kidding aside, Chucky Lozano turns out to be the Carlos Vela of what he meant to LAFC in that expansion season, and that the attack is going to be very very good, and that Anders guy, he could be like a Diego Rossi kind of type of player, just like what when Diego Rossi meant to that LAFC team in their expansion season. Their defense actually is relatively solid. CJ Dos Santos is going to have a Brad Stewart kind of moment, a guy that maybe play as a backup for one team, but really spring out with a new squad. Why can't San Diego win MLS Cup? Well, simply because they're an expansion team. And again, we haven't seen an expansion team win MLS Cup since 1998. We haven't really seen expansion team go too deep in playoffs again, let alone in terms of making the playoffs as well. And then of course the defensive issue and the goalkeeping question, and also the style that Mikey Veras might not actually work out, and this team might be just like what we see with expansion team in the past. Either could be very terrible, but maybe respectable, but not going to get themselves into the playoffs. The San Jose Earthquakes. Why can the Quakes win MLS Cup? Because they have Bruce Arena in the helm. Bruce Arena is the godfather of American soccer. He has been able to deliver teams with multiple MLS Cup as well. Nicaragua will return to his old form, could be running for Golden Boot again. The same goes for Joseph Martinez as well. Well, not to an extent. I think Joseph Martinez is gonna kind of look like the second half Joseph that we saw with Montreal with this Quakes team. This attack will propel this team amidst the defensive issue that they have. And then also Danielle is gonna run for goalkeeper of the year because if we're gonna see the Danielle that he was in his first season into this year, there could be a chance that the Quakes can actually go all the way. Why can the Quakes go all the way to MLS Cup? Well, they are the Quakes, and that failure has been always been a problem for this team. But to go into a deeper review, it's simply the defense. I mean, they didn't really change too much for a team that give up 78 plus goals. Turns out Chicho Rongo continued to suffer that second half downturn like he did, and then of course if Daniel does get injured, yeah, this defense is not gonna it's gonna be so bad that it's not gonna mitigate in terms of the good attack that this team has heading into this season. Seattle. So for the Sounders, why can they win MLS Cup? Because of the Seattle effing Sounders. I mean, Brian Schmitz's team will always do well in tournament in most year. It's one of the most well-rounded team as well. Rely heavily on domestic kind of talent and pretty much secretly forming a former Gold Cup winning U.S. men's national team with the likes of Jesus Ferreira, Victor Rodon, and Paul Arriola, guys that were on that Gold Cup team a couple of years ago and on that winning Gold Cup team as well on the Seattle team now. Why can't Seattle win MLS Cup? Well, simply, the exhaustion in terms of playing in multiple competition. It might catch up to them late in the season. Turns out that resembling a former Gold Cup team might not be the best idea. Jesus Ferreira might not be as good as he advertised, especially if he play out of position. The same goes for Paul Arriola. Maybe suffer some injuries as well. But I think it's going to be leaning more toward the fact that they're going to be playing so many games. Maybe they'll exhaust themselves heading into the season. St. Louis. Why can St. Louis win MLS Cup? Because from what we saw, the trend in the second half of last season, it's definitely a team that not only is a playoff team, but a team that can definitely go relatively deep in this tournament. You know, some of their impact signing with Teuscher and Hartle, they're gonna really carry this team. The defense seems like it's very good, and then Roman Burke is looking to try to win goalkeeper of the year once again heading into this year. Why can they win MLS Cup? That is St. Louis. Well, it turns out that like what we've seen before, when teams have a great second half of the season, it doesn't always translate into the new season as well. A lot of those summer signing that they regress, and not to mention they still have some defensive issue which kind of plagued this team a lot last season as well, carry into this season as well. And then Toronto, why can TFC win MLS Cup? Oh boy, this is where I really need to kind of almost go a little unrealistic, but I'll just say that somehow Robin Fraser is going to turn a bunch of misfits even into a force that is even more outperformed than what we saw with John Herman. Somehow, in some way, his message is going to deliver to these players to really play for him and really win for him. But let's also say that somehow Lorenzo Insigne magically is able to put aside the distraction that he has throughout his time with TFC and actually live up to his potential alongside with Benedeschi as well. Why can TFC not win MLS Cup? Well, they're in a rebuild. I mean, it's simple as that. They're in a rebuild. They're the worst, probably the worst squad in terms of quality heading into this season as well, and a team that many predicted is going to win the wooden spoon. So yeah, you're not going to win MLS Cup when you are literally dead on once again to potentially win the worst price this season in MLS. And then Vancouver, why can the Whitecaps win MLS Cup? Well, simply because somehow Jasper Sorensen is the upgraded version of Andy Sartini. He's able to get even more out of this team. They might sign another piece, DP piece, especially after losing Stuart Armstrong. They might find that key DP piece to get them over the top as well. Why can't they win MLS Cup? Well, mainly because they have an injury crisis. As I already mentioned, they don't have a lot of depth. Things could go south for them. Jesper Sorensen is a massive downgrade, and his tactics does not work with this Whitecaps team. And just simply them not making a lot of signings and kind of stand pat. That usually doesn't work so well when other teams in the Western Conference are improving heading into this season. Well, there you have it. That is pretty much it. Looking at why I think every MLS team can win MLS Cup and why every MLS team can win MLS Cup. Again, a bit of a fun video that I did there, like I do new last year as well, and I'm kind of thinking that this should be like an annual thing when the season is about to begin. But let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video, and let me know in the comments below also why you think your team can win MLS Cup and why you think your team cannot win MLS Cup heading into this season. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.